Welcome to Crack the Egg Podcast.
Episode 5.
And today we're talking about Not in Your Nature.
By Zion Middlebrooks. Dang it. Zion Middlebrooks and featuring Kaylee.
Woo!
Yeah.
So Not in Your Nature reminded us to to talk about God's faithfulness, right?
Mm-hmm.
We so often take for granted, his faithfulness and how faithful he is. I'm just I try to think what verses talk about faithfulness, but it's throughout the whole entire Bible, he's being faithful with the Israelites. He's being faithful with Jericho. I know we talked about that last time, but he's just faithful. We end up doing stupid crap.
True.
Well, what we think is dumb, right? He chooses the wise to shame the fool? No, he chooses the fools to shame the wise.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's good to point out, too, that, I think something that a lot of Christians just mistaken is looking at the Bible and seeing all these, huge things that happened where they can so easily see how God is faithful, the Israelites, for example, seeing that they were lost and then God did this, seeing that they were hungry and then God sent them food, those kind of things.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It can be weird because you're how can I relate to that? How can I'm not in the wilderness walking around with no food, but God sees us anywhere that we are, and he's faithful in everything, even the little things. And I think a lot of times we generalize the Bible. And, we just see it as, these big things that happened where we can see God. But it's, like you were saying earlier, you're trying to find, think of something.
Specific.
But it's all
everywhere.
over the place.
Yeah. We don't have to, like how you were saying, we don't have to be in this big, gigantic thing. He's faithful in getting us into college. He's faithful in getting us our jobs. He's faithful in the food that we eat every day. That we could even afford it, that we can even buy food. I just know that there's been several times in our lives, Brandon and I's life, where we're not financially sound. Things aren't but how are we getting the money to pay rent, to get food, and pay the bills and everything? There's been several times where it's we should be super broke and starving, but we're not, because God is just so faithful.
Yeah. And just, looking at the next few lines, some of this we don't know exactly what it says, because they don't have lyrics out, but we tried our best to figure it out. But the next little bit is, you place me right in position to crush anything in resistance. When war starts, I don't have to fear, because you're the God who's already won. And every something of death overcomes. But we get the gist, so it's okay. I was just going to say that, God has already won the war, this verse says. And he's placing you right where you need to be. And if he's placed you there, he's there.
Yeah.
He goes before us, and he already knows what's going to happen. He's already set our, everything in place of how it should be. And even just that should prove faithfulness before we even get to our next step, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It makes me think of, what you're saying makes me think of just, when bad things happen, right? When we're going through something that we've thought so deeply that God gave, God is in everything. First of all, he is in charge of everything. He allows everything to happen. Even, and this may sound hard and weird, but even the bad things, they're to shape us. They're to grow us. I think of recently, I had a job that I thought was, from God, and then it, went south, and they're, mean people, and it was, horrible, right? But God is still faithful, and he's teaching me stuff. He taught me off of that I need to write contracts and, make sure to detail everything, you know what I mean? So, even in the bad things, he's still faithful.
And I think it's so important to just constantly be reminding us of who God is, and that he's not just some crazy mystical being that's up above us that doesn't care about us or have like any sort of relationship with us. Like, he is our Father, and he truly does care about us, and he's shown us many times before. Even if you feel like you haven't experienced God, or if you're a new Christian or anything like that, God has already proven his faithfulness to you because of Jesus, and he's already proven his love for you through Jesus.
Right.
And like we've said many times, that should be enough for us, but we both know that it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. It's never enough, because we constantly keep looking for more. Like Adam and Eve, like how, like, literally God is enough there, right? Like, God is enough. He's giving them everything. Like, they don't have to work, you know? Like,
you had it so much better than us.
They didn't, like, no pain during childbirth. Come on. Periods? I don't know what that was like. But, like, they questioned him. They doubted his goodness. They doubted his faithfulness. And we continue to do that even today.
Yeah, true. Just going into this next part, says, King Jesus, you won't fail, right here, fighting for me. You're constant, never changing. You are my strong tower. You're strong and mighty. I just love the image of just saying that God is constant, because I know we all know that life is hectic. There's always things happening. And even, like, right now, like, I move into my college dorm tomorrow. You're moving soon. Like, I don't know, it's just so much change and all that. But God is always just constant. He's always there, like, in every bit of your life, even when you don't even, like, think he is.
Yeah.
We expect so much from God. And, like it says, your promises are never in vain. Like, even we really just be making stuff up. You know, it's like, yeah, I know God said this. I know he's promised me this. I know I'm entitled to this. And then because of that, we think he's failed us. We think he's gone back on his promise, or he doesn't love us anymore. But really, we're just making stuff up.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're just trying to follow our own will. We're just trying to, like, stretch things and twist things into like our own way.
Yeah. I think of, like, the feeding of the 5,000 and then later the feeding of the 4,000, like, just how he was doing all this stuff, and then the disciples were later, like, he fed the 5,000, right? Then later in the 4,000, he's like, what are we going to feed these people? They doubted again, right? And then he did it again, but Jesus was also telling them, like, you're still thinking about, like, food, but it's not about food. This might have been after the 4,000 or between the 4,000. I don't remember, but they were still like, what bread are you going to give us? And he's like, you're still thinking about bread. Like, it's more than that. Like, I'm trying to give you life, you know? Yeah. Like, it's about more. It's about Jesus.
We're always focused on, like, the things of this world still, even when we think we're thinking about God, because we're like, oh, yeah, like, I'm looking to you for this food, when it should be, like, I'm looking to you for life or for the living water, like, not even, like, the temporary stuff of the world.
We have to be faithful. Like, we have to realize that God is faithful even in our serving. So when we're messing up, when I'm switching the wrong cameras, like I've done it several times today, like, his faithfulness is still great. So, like, you had an example of the keyboard, and I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah. One Wednesday, literally, sometimes it's just like, what is even happening? Like, I was playing keys. This is, like, at the beginning of last year, so the youth band was still, like, growing, learning. We were all a little, like, rusty, not super, like, good at being together and all that. And the keyboard, like, I was kind of leading it, and the keyboard just, like, it just stopped, like, playing. Like, literally, like, I couldn't even tell you what happened. Like, it just stopped playing. But it became such a beautiful moment of worship because Casey kept playing and everything just kept going.
Yeah.
And it just became this beautiful picture.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, another example I gave her was, you know, some weeks, literally just everybody declines.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, that sucks, but you just got to keep going. So, literally, like, everybody had declined, and we had to end up having Brandon play acoustic, and, like, our youth band is, like, all done by youth, so that's not usually a thing that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But Brandon had to play acoustic, Zach was on cajon, and we just did an acoustic set because that's just what we had to do, but...
And it was good, and
yeah,
he was faithful.
God works through that.
Yeah. Yeah, and even recently, like, there was a service that we just went on
And on.
with worship, but it was beautiful. Like, it was, I feel like there was a lot of healing. Like, people were mending their hearts, like, and getting closer to Jesus, you know. But that is kind of another thing that I was thinking about, is that sometimes we get too caught up in even, like, the huge things that God does, right? Like, instead of just being okay with the little things that he does. Like, even with the food, like the food example, they were trying to, this feed 5,000, like, they want this huge thing to happen, but it's just the small things as well, you know? It doesn't have to be a healing every Sunday. It doesn't have to be a prophetic word. It doesn't have to be all these signs and wonders, right?
Yeah.
It's just about Jesus, because that's what it's all about, you know?
And if you're looking, like, if you're truly looking and keeping yourself open to seeing every little moment that God moves, even if it's small, it'll make your life so much better.
Yeah.
Like, being able to see those little moments. I know that whenever I'm spending more time with God, when I'm really just trying to keep my eyes, heart open, and just have that perspective, like, truly trying to keep the forefront of my mind on him, that it's so cool to see. It's always like the little things are so much cooler than the big things whenever you're focused on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's been good. Or no, what's the thing? It's been real and it's been fun. But it hasn't been real fun.
I don't like that one.
Just kidding.
It is real fun.
Okay, just kidding. It was a joke. It was a joke. Yeah. We are cracking all the eggs. Wait, we should do, okay, since we have a little bit of time.
Okay.
We should re-say what crack the egg means, I feel like.
Okay. Go for it.
Okay, so just for all of these new people that we're getting, because I know we're getting so many new people, this is me, like, it's gonna happen.
Focus on that one.
Okay, right, we're over here, got it. We are Crack the Egg Podcast, and although you may think that we're talking about eggs and cooking, we aren't, because we don't know how to cook. Maybe Vanessa does, I don't know how to cook, so that's not what we're talking about. This all came about from us just talking, and we're both silly.
Yeah, we are.
Very silly.
Cornballs.
So we wanted, what'd you say?
Cornballs.
So we wanted something like fun. But Crack the Egg, it's all about just like getting down deeper into Christianity, and specifically for us, looking into worship songs or Christian songs, things about Jesus that are music related, because we're both passionate about music. And Crack the Egg, the whole idea is just breaking the surface of what people are looking at, or the surface of songs, and just digging deeper.
Yeah.
So if you didn't know, now you know. And tell all your friends to watch us.
Yeah. Leave us reviews. I'm going to know this one now.
All the things.
No, it's this one. Yeah. Going beneath the surface and deeper, because we're corny is what I was trying to say, cornballs, you know. But like but we like to have deep conversation. We don't like to stay in the surface. We'd like to get deep.
Yeah, deep. So, go get deep with your friends.
Like, share,
all the things.
review.
Yeah.
And we're on all the things.
On all the things.
where you can listen to us or watch us.
Yeah.
Watching us is better. Honestly.
Yeah, that is true. On Spotify, you can do both.
Yeah.
Because Spotify is the best.
Yeah.
Wow, you agreed.
This
Okay.
type of stuff.
Well, whatever.
Okay, love ya. Bye.
Bye.